$4,000 drone, a $6,000 camera, a $1,000 lens. It's like 10 grand. Now we're just gonna huck around on a $20 flight controller. This is gonna be the maiden hover of our Catalyst Machine Works Moneyshot Mini. I just wanna have everything on camera in case something does go wrong. Let's go outside. Dogs are gonna bark at it, but that's okay. We have it loaded up with the Komodo. I'm gonna do a test flight here at the house just to make sure it gets off the ground, and then we're gonna take it somewhere else to actually break it in. Got more batteries charging. Gonna probably do another couple rounds of charging, and then we're also gonna bring out the red Komodo, which I'm not flying out yet. I'm gonna get 3 or 4 packs of test flying in before I put this on there, and also bring my Bgh1 Panasonic right here to also get some test flights on, probably before the Komodo, because the Panasonic is actually mine, so it feels less scary somehow. So let's give this a hover. Okay, so just a quick test hover like that is all I really needed to make sure that when I go out into the field, I'm not, going out without some sort of something that I need to make sure that the actual settings are set right. Obviously, it's not testing like the limits of what the drone can do or anything like that, but I want to make sure that it's actually going to fly before I actually get out of the house. So now I'm going to try to dial in some rates, and then we'll take it out. Okay, hopefully I've got everything now. I'm not totally sure, thanks Bush, if I have everything that I need for this, and it's inevitable that I don't. So I'm heading out with about an hour of time to do some testing on a Moneyshot Mini. This is like the premium build from Catalyst Machine Works, designed to carry the red Komodo. I have a red Komodo with me. I have a Panasonic Bgh1, and I have a bunch of other stuff to get the drone in the air and get it tested. The client has sent me this machine to kind of evaluate, to test, to kind of shake it down, make sure that it's ready for production. And I haven't actually asked them if they want to be named in this or not. They gave me permission to shoot this video, but they didn't tell me if they wanted to be shouted out or anything. So if they do, here it is right here. This is their information. You should definitely check them out. But the whole point is to get the drone in the air with a dummy weight, make sure that everything is working really, really well. Then I'm gonna put my Panasonic Bgh1 on there kind of as to risk my own equipment first. And then we're gonna switch over to the actual red Komodo, which the client sent with it to be, to get some very basic test shots. We're not really trying to film anything. I don't have like a subject to go film today. We'll at least be able to grab some footage, push it out to them. They sent me 2 different lenses to try out to see what they could look like. And that's really the whole goal, is to just put this camera up in the air, this drone up in the air, and make sure that everything is working the way that we expect it to. So let's go over to we're just gonna go to my favorite spot, the spot that I know like the back of my hand, just because that's gonna be the best place to be testing something, make sure everything is working right. And yeah, we'll see how everything goes. Just a quick rundown of all the gear that we've got with us. First of all, red Komodo. Oh, that's gonna be so sweet. Cannot wait to put that in the air. Actually, a little bit nervous to put it in the air, but you know what? It's gotta happen. Then over here in the back, we're actually charging more batteries off of our giant Relion. Got a Panasonic Bgh1. This is my camera to test out with it. Got the transmitter for the drone. You got the drone itself. We got the fake Komodo on here. Thanks again to Quad Standard Labs for sending that out. It's a 360 on board to kind of film the whole drone, kind of as a behind the scenes sort of thing. We've got 1 set of batteries on there, 2, 3, 4 full sets. And as soon as I finish the first one, I'm gonna put the second one back on to charge it. Extra lens for this camera, tripod, and charging. So that's everything we've got with us. Now we gotta go out here and get some flying done. So with these big rigs, before every flight, you definitely want to test every battery, make sure everything is ready to go, especially because we're running these batteries in series. We don't want anything to happen in which like 2 batteries are separate voltages, or maybe you're dropping cells or something. So you just want to make sure that you go through the same tests each time you fly to make sure that nothing nothing in your control can go wrong. So both flight batteries are at the same voltage, which is perfect, and everything's strapped up, making sure that it's all going to stay out of the way of the props. Then this particular drone has a front-facing battery that is used just for the air unit, which is currently running at 15.8, which is a little bit lower than I want it, but it should be fine for now. And then, then you would do your camera checks. We don't have a camera on here, obviously. So then you plug in your series connection in the back. Then on the bottom side, we've got our negative connection, ground connection. And then on the top, we have our positive connection. Now the bird will boot. And then we also plug in our DJI FPV battery, make sure our antennas are tight. Now everything is ready to go. Okay, video check, good. DVR running, controller, arm check, pre-arm and arm. Double check my diopters are where I want them. Pre-arm on, arm, taken off. So with a shakedown test, you want to go with increasing degrees of difficulty on flying the bird. Make sure that everything is good before you really start pushing it. So I'm going to do some kind of just slow cruising, see if there's any kind of vibrations or anything that's unnatural, weird sounds, stuff like that. Very much going to stay away from trees for now. Sounds so good. Now we're going to start adding a little speed, get some harder banked maneuvers. Try to ramp up the throttle a little bit. So I've really only hit like 50% throttle. Gosh, this thing is just locked in. So now I'm gonna try some harder maneuvers. So like I'm gonna kind of 180 hairpin. Good. We just want to make sure that everything, once we put these bigger cameras on here, everything is looking good. So I'm just kind of finding, like, just thinking about those kinds of points where I would typically get failure in a drone. So now we're going to try a split S. Looks good. This feels good. It's probably kind of a lazy split S. No prop wash on the way down. Sounds beautiful. I cannot believe how well this thing flies. And I've got the Komodo analog on there. It's not the full Komodo. Probably weighs 1,300 grams, where the full one is 1,600. But still. Okay, so I'm gonna come in and check battery life. Just see what it is. I'm at 3 minutes. Okay, so we'll check the batteries, see how they're doing. And then if we've got more battery, we're gonna take off and go fly more. Otherwise, we're gonna swap them out and start it again. Also, while you're here, check the motor temperatures, make sure that nothing got loose during that flight. Just make sure everything's good to go. Okay, so the batteries were at 3.9, which means that they technically have plenty of battery life in them. It's probably another 2-3 minutes of flight in that. But I've got enough with me today that it's not worth, I'm not gonna say the risk, but the, pushing it to the limit. We might as well just pop these out, swap in a new set, and keep going, rather than worrying too much about, getting the most out of every single battery. So Catalyst has this really cool system for mounting the batteries. There's this little clippy thing here, and there's the grabby thing on that side. I don't know a better way to put it than that. Take the battery, get it around the antennas, line it up with all of those little circles. And this is really hard to do one-handed. But you have to push this little button in, slide the battery past it, and then it locks in. And so now you can see that the battery is locked in place and it's not coming off. It's super cool. So I'll put this bottom one on. All right, once again, test all batteries. Bottom battery, 16.5, top battery, 16.5, front battery, 15.4. So that one's starting to get a little bit lower, but we're still good. So we're gonna charge that one between flights next time. Check all props, good, 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 good. Okay, so now we gotta make sure all these leads are out of the way. Then we will plug in our series, and again, our negative, and then our positive. Okay, so we've done all our pre-flight checks for flight number 2. Again, this is going to be a continued shakedown test. We still have the fake Komodo on there. So we're just going to go out, push it a little bit harder, push it a little bit faster, try some dive maneuvers, and make sure that it's continually better and better. So let's take off with this bad boy. Pre-arm, arm, taking off. All right, so let's go for our first dive here. It's kind of a cool spot. It's not a great dive, but you know what? Gets the job done for today. Get back in the trees here a little bit. Honestly, this thing is on rails. A little bit of flutter there on the way over on that roll. But that's understandable. I mean, jeez. It's so locked in, guys. Oh, it flies so good. Like, I'm not seeing any kind of wobbles other than like maybe with like a bit of a roll kind of maneuver. I saw like I kind of basically did like a corkscrew, and on the way out of the corkscrew I got a little bit of prop wash as it sat down on itself. But I mean, like with a little bit of a breeze out here, with that much weight on there, with kind of, it's not unbalanced, but like it's not perfectly balanced because of the way that weight is. I mean, it's rock solid. Like, I'm cruising. Like, I feel like I could chase anything I wanted to right now. The full throttle, there's no weirdness when it's going into full throttle. In a dive, it's not pulling out funny or doing anything. Big, hard 180 turns, it's just locked in. This is not, I'm not making this video just to praise the Catalyst Machine Works build, but like, as part of all this testing, I want to make sure everything is good to go, and holy cow, is it locked. Okay, so next up is my personal Panasonic Bgh1. Got everything set in here, making sure that nothing is too overexposed or underexposed. So probably a little bit overexposed, but that's as good as it's gonna get for me today. But yeah, we're ready to fly with my own camera on here. And then after that, we're gonna switch it over and we'll fly the client's camera. But I wanna make sure that everything is good to go with my own equipment first so that I'm taking all that risk. Okay, Panasonic is all rigged up. Let's take off and see how this goes. What's up? Yep. It's only got the Panasonic on it right now.
Awesome.
It's pretty fun. This is the one that Michael Bay is using in a movie right now. Yep. Not this exact drone, but this model. But with the Komodo. Not today. It's a client's bird, so I didn't want to. I'd at least have parts if I crashed it here. So I've got one more flight after this. It's with the Komodo, and then I'm good to go. Okay, so flight with the Panasonic is done. We're running out of daylight. He's waiting on me to go to dinner. This is Michael Durr at Instadur on Instagram. I shoot for him all the time. I'm gonna make him shoot some stuff for me for free. And but yeah, so we're gonna switch to the Komodo switch out to the Komodo, get one more flight in with this last bit of golden hour, and yeah, hopefully we don't crash it. We are attempting to mount up the Komodo. The temptation right now with the light going down is to rush, but you know, when you're putting something like this up in the air, that's a really bad idea. So we're gonna take our time, make sure everything's right, and not fall into the temptation of getting things done quickly, but instead making sure that they're done right. So with the Moneyshot Mini came these adapters and everything that we need to mount the camera. So we'll put this on here kind of high so I can reach it, and then I'm gonna crank it in. I don't know any settings or anything on Komodos, so I've got to guess, and I don't want this much camera tilt, so we're gonna put it back down to roughly where the FPV camera is. You can actually see on the side here that there's on this side actually that there's markings of what degree angle you're pointing at, so you can see that we have it set to something like 18 degrees, which is fine for what we're doing here today. You can see that this lens is hanging out way further than the Panasonic or the Komodo mount, or the fake Komodo. So we're gonna offset that with the weight of the battery a little further back. Okay, that's not going anywhere. We're gonna slide in our other battery. I've already checked these batteries off camera, so they are charged and ready to go. Fold our cables into the battery straps. We're gonna plug in our series connector in the back, plug in our ground underneath, and our positive on top. Drone will activate. We have our cable here that plugs into the XT60 on top and into the DC in the back. Slide this battery back just a little bit because it's bumping up against the connector. And now we should be able to boot the Komodo. Just check our center of gravity here. And it's a little further forward than I want it to be, so I'm just going to move the batteries back just a little bit. Let's just open it all the way. Then we're going to set it to infinity and then back it back just a little bit. And that looks pretty spicy. Now to record, it's on this side. $4,000 drone, a $6,000 camera, a $1,000 lens. It's like 10 grand. Now we're just going to huck around on a $20 flight controller. You nervous? I'm not nervous. All right, let's set it down. No big deal, no big deal. Oh, look at that lens flare. Oh, okay. Double check. Props are tight. We already checked our batteries. Radio's connected. Camera's secure. Camera's rolling. Camera's exposed properly. Back camera's rolling. $10,000. Let's go. No big deal. Okay, DVR is rolling. Cameras are rolling. That Komodo is rolling. Drone is powered. We've done all our safety checks. Let's do it. Just a couple notes that this footage was shot at 24 FPS instead of 30 like the rest of the video, so it might stutter a little bit. That was a requirement by the client, so we wanted to just call that out because it's going to look a little bit funny. And then I'm not super great with exposing the Komodo, so we actually underexposed a little bit, so I had to bring up the brightness a lot in post so you can kind of see some of the graininess of that. Sorry that I messed that up for you guys, but it still looks really good. I mean, the lens flares look right here. Boom. Look at that. So pretty. But, yep, just wanted to make that clarification.
on you.
Was that?
I'm back on you.
Okay. Just trying to remember all of those kinds of shots that we were getting. Remember that we've got a little bit more weight on than we did before. I'm just trying to think of kind of movements that would be useful to see. It just feels like I can see the lens in my field of view, and it makes me feel like the drone is way taller than it is, even though it's not really, like it's kind of a force of perspective, but it's very kind of scary.
I don't see anyone there. It looks good from my perspective. Looks good from my perspective. I can't focus on it, but alright, I'm back on you again.
All right, what do you say we don't push our luck and land it? It's on the ground. It didn't blow up. Okay. Wow. Honestly, that thing flies phenomenally. I was worried about, like, it looks really top, like front heavy, I guess would be the right word. And even in like little throttle punches and throttle blips, like I was expecting the nose to kind of dip, because that means that the front motors are working a little bit harder. They're getting saturated. The back motors are then overcompensating. But I didn't see any of that. It flew really well. I'm excited to take the footage back, look at it. You guys have already seen it, so tell me what you think. Leave it in the comments below. We're gonna wrap up everything here. Mike and I are gonna go grab some dinner, talk business, I think. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, I got links to Catalyst Machine Works, to Red Komodo, to all the parts that I use on a normal basis. If you're interested, please use the affiliate links in the description below. And if that's not something that's an option to you, please consider joining as a YouTube member or as a Patreon. Thanks very much for watching this adventure, and stay flying.